Welcome to the Copper King Mining Railroad. Today we're going to talk about the Boston Consolidated vertical tram. You got to see this, so stay tuned. The Boston Tram. We've talked about the Boston vertical tram in other videos, but let's go in depth and show some great pictures and share the history of this tram line. Boston Consolidated was a Samuel Newhouse enterprise, organized November 1898 after selling his interest in the Highland Boy mines. Now that was to Rockefeller Standard Oil Company. With profits from that sale, Newhouse will purchase 51 mining claims covering 378 acres of now patented ground. This would be high on the mountaintop above Jacqueline's and Gimbel's Utah Copper. Now here's a picture of both of those companies. Remember, there was two companies digging away at this mine at one time, the Boston Consolidated and Utah Copper on the bottom. So we have some pictures of, you can see the separation right there of these two companies. Now in this picture, Utah Copper is down to the far right corner, and you just barely see it, but Boston Consolidated is up there on top. First underground mining copper ores. Then in June of 1906, they will be the first to use steam shovels and steam trains in the open-cut mining method for copper. This first operation will be removing waste material to get to the ore body. Now look at this interesting picture. This is a picture of the first diggings at Boston Consolidated with the Boston steam shovel there. But in the background, you can see the collapsing mine. That was the old underground mine that started to collapse there. The first ores coming from those underground mines came down from that high mountaintop through a system of steep, treacherous switchbacks. Now, in 1903, when the Copper Belt Railroad finally reached the mines in Carfork, they'll be the ones that bring the ore down from this high mountain. And they use Shay locomotives on that. We had a neat video on that Copper Belt Railroad with those Shays. Here's some pictures of those switchbacks coming down that mountainside. A great big panoramic view of the whole area up in Carfork. You can see the Boston Consolidated there to the left, and it works its way over to where those switchbacks were. So to get the ore down more economically, they built this vertical rail tram. Now this first picture shows them building the foundation for the lower ore bin, but look at this steam engine up on the grade up above. I think this probably a boiler was on fire. Look at the heat rolling off of that. I think that's a neat little picture. Anyway, here's some more pictures of them building this vertical tram coming down out of the Boston. These pictures were taken September and October of 1907. So you can see the construction of this vertical tram line came down the mountain. It was designed and built by S.B. Stein Company from Osceola Mills in Pennsylvania. The tramway had two parallel pair of tracks, counterbalancing skip cars, 12 tons each, producing 300 tons per hour, 18,000 tons a day. Now the average grade on that was 27%, so that was really steep. It was a 1,900-foot tramway coming down 737 vertical feet in height. Now it had three 400-ton wooden storage bins on top to keep those cars filled, or those skips filled. Now the ore bin at the base was unique. It was the only kind in the country. It was a large steel cylinder tank. And there's some discrepancy in the size. The first stated that the ore bin was 70 feet in diameter and 110 feet high. The other indicated that the ore bin was 36 in diameter and 40 feet high. Well, comparing the ore bin to the ore car sitting in front, estimating the ore car around 8 feet high, it would make the 40-foot height number more reasonable. Here's a picture of the gulch where that tram came down. Note all the bridges running across this ravine. This is a really neat picture also. Then we have some pictures where it was at in the canyon and Carford Canyon itself. And this is the confluence where the canyon split. And you can see it right here. I put a red dot so you can see it a little better in some of these pictures. And so it was just right up from that confluence. And then when they build the Carford Bridge in this later picture, it's just up from that. And you can see the red dot and where that tram came through here. The tram was completed November 1907. From that lower ore bin, ore cars would be loaded, and then the Copper Belt Railroad, now owned by Denver Rio Grande, would take these ore cars down to meet up with the Denver Rio Grande low-grade line, or high line, to be carried off to the Boston Consolidated mill. That was out to Magnan. There was two large mills out there, the Utah Copper Mill and the Boston Consolidated Mill. Now they'll change that mill's name to the Arthur Mill after the 1910 merge with Utah Copper and Boston Consolidated. So that's the Boston Tram at Bingham Canyon.